What's good, YouTube? Big Rig 14 here, and I am here to bring you guys my rankings of the NBA Eastern Conference. And now, why am I doing the East first instead of the Western Conference? Well, it's just pretty simple because my favorite team is the Boston Celtics, and they are in the East. And well, almost everybody who does one of these power ranking type of things they start with the East. So I'm going to start with them. So we're going to start things all off with, I'm going to be going from 1 all the way down to 15. I'm not going to be going fully in depth saying like this team is number 5 because blah 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 blah. But basically I'm going to be like, this is number 1, and just basically just a quick brief over why I think it is. So let's start it all off. We're going to start with the number 1. And who I have at number 1, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, Cleveland, it should be pretty obvious why they're going to be number 1 in the East. They have LeBron James. Simple as that. They have LeBron, number 1 player in the entire NBA, has been so for a few years now. So we're going to move on to number 2. That one's pretty simple. We have the Toronto Raptors at number 2, and I have Toronto there just because I feel like they are a better regular season team than a playoff team, or than a postseason team, and I personally think Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan will be able to carry this team all the way to the 2nd seed. Plus, they still have Jonas Valanciunas. They have Jared Sullinger for a backup. I think they're going to do all right next year. Number 3, I do have my favorite team, the Boston Celtics. Now, they have so many assets. They kept just about everybody. They got rid of Jared Sullinger, but instead they picked up Al Horford. So I'll take Al Horford over Jared Sullinger any day of the week. So I personally think the Celtics are going to be a solid 55 or so win team. I could easily see them cracking 55 wins. I think they're going to be the 3rd seed for a lot of reasons, and I think they are very good, and Brad Stevens is easily one of the best coaches in the league. Now we're going to move on to number 4. Number 4, I have the Indiana Pacers. Now, I had another team here, but I have them lower than 4th because of a few things. I'll get into that when I talk about that team. Now, number 4, I have the Indiana Pacers, and the Pacers are number 4 simply because I personally believe Paul George can will this team to the 4th seed. Now, do I think they are the 4th best team in the East? No. I think they're probably 5th, maybe 6th best team overall. But I feel like Miles Turner is going to have a huge jump, is going to have a good jump, lead this team up there. Al Jefferson is going to be a good offensive big man to come off the bench. He's going to be great for them. Thaddeus Young is, I personally believe, one of the more underrated power forwards in the league, so I think he's going to do pretty good. Then there's Paul George, obviously, who's easily a top 10 player in the league. I feel like he can easily will this team to a playoff, not only a playoff spot, but a top seed, a home field seed, or home court worthy seed in the East. On top of that, I feel like Jeff Teague, while not as good as George Hill, is going to be good enough to help this team win some games. So number 5, I have the Detroit Pistons. Now, I had the Pistons at number 4. I had them at as a lock for number 4 beforehand, but due to a few problems, case in point with Reggie Jackson, who's projected to be out about 6 to 8 weeks with an injury, is really going to hurt this team. He is the point guard for that team. He and Andre Drummond were great together, and I feel because of that injury, Pistons are going to suffer. I still think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to be the 5th seed, but I don't think they're going to get much farther than that with him being out. So moving on to number 6, I do have the Charlotte Hornets. Now, not a lot of people are giving the Charlotte Hornets credit. Kemba Walker is a great point guard in the league. Plus, with the combination of Michael Kidd-Gilchrist and Nicholas Batum, that is a really good defensive. Those are really good defensive styled wings. Plus, Nicholas Batum is pretty good offensively as well. And then the biggest problem is that not power forward. Marvin Williams is a good power forward, but the biggest problem is the center position with Roy Hibbert, Cody Zeller, not Tyler Zeller. Celtics have Tyler, but Cody Zeller and Frank Kaminsky. I feel like the 3 of them, it's going to work with Steve Clifford because he is one of the more underrated coaches in the league. But I do think they are going to get the 6th seed. So number 7, I have the New York Knicks. And the New York Knickerbockers, I personally think, are going to be the 7th seed. Carmelo Anthony is still an elite small forward. I don't think he's a top 5 small forward anymore. But he is an elite small forward. Definitely one of the better players in the league still. Plus, according to Derrick Rose, they are a super team. They are the only other super team in the entire league other than the Golden State Warriors. So Plus, I feel like Derrick Rose can do pretty good in that team. I love Joakim Noah. I personally think he's one of the more underrated centers in the league. He had an off year last year due to injury, but I think he was great. I think he's a great center. Kristaps Porzingis. How can you go against Godzingis, the great and powerful? So I feel like he's going to have a huge jump, become a great player next year. Courtney Lee is a good 3-and-D type of player. I like him a lot. So I feel like they're going to be the 7th seed. The 8th seed is a huge toss-up. It could be any of 4 teams, I believe. 8th through 11th seed I have. You could put them in any of those. You could tell me one reason why this team should be the 8th seed and not the, say, 10th seed, and I would agree with you. It's such a hard choice to make with 4 of these teams. But I have the Washington Wizards at the 8th seed, mostly because I personally believe that John Wall is a great point guard. I feel like he can he can lead this team all the way to the playoffs, just like he did a few years ago. Bradley Beal, if he can stay healthy, will also really help out this team. So that backcourt, when healthy, is one of the better backcourts in the league, and I feel like they can, if DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry can will the Raptors to the 2nd seed, I feel like John Wall and Bradley Beal could do the same thing, but only to the 8th seed. Now the 9th seed, like I said, they could easily be the 8th seed. I have the Atlanta Hawks. I feel losing Al Horford and Jeff Teague is a huge blow to that team because I don't believe in Dennis Schroeder. I don't think he's as good as everybody says he is. Also, I feel like you're taking a huge loss by by losing Al Horford, and in return, all you get is Dwight Howard. And I personally have never been a fan of Dwight Howard. I thought he was good. I thought he was great, pretty good. Back in Orlando, and then when he went to L.A., and then I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to have a better. He's going to be better in Atlanta than he was in Houston or Los Angeles, but I don't think he's good enough anymore. I don't think he's better than Al Horford. And then number 10, I have the Milwaukee Bucks. I had them as a lock for the 8th seed before. But I have moved some stuff around. Not in all of a sudden like, oh, the preseason has started, so he's changing things around. No. I had them as the 8th seed, but due to Chris Middleton going down, I see them dropping down to the 10th seed. And Chris Middleton is going to be such a huge blow to this team just because I feel like he does what they would need him to do, and I feel like they would need him more. Just because I feel like Point Giannis is going to be great. I think they're going to be a good team. Just I don't see them getting into the playoffs without Chris Middleton because they need that 3-point scoring, and they don't have that without him. And number 11, I have the Chicago Bulls. Again, I could see them going the 8th seed, but I feel like they're less likely than the other 3 ahead of them. Plus, on top of that, I just don't think that's going to work out with Rondo, Wade, and Butler. I don't think the 3 of them are going to work well together. I love Wade. I love Rondo. I just don't think the 3 of them are going to be able to work well together. So that's my reasoning for that. Miami Heat, I have them at 12th. They losing Wade, losing Luol Deng, losing Joe Johnson, all those players they lost, plus the potential of possibly losing Chris Bosh. I feel like that's going to be a huge blow to that team because Dwayne Wade added so much to that team. Same with Joe Johnson and Luol Deng. Now I can't even see them making the playoffs. Honestly, I don't think Hassan Whiteside's good enough to lead this team to the playoffs. I've never been a fan of Goran Dragic from when he was on the Suns to when he joined the Heat. Never been a fan. So I like Josh Richardson. I like Tyler Johnson, but I can't see this team making the playoffs. 13th, I have the Orlando Magic. Now I like them getting rid of Victor Oladipo. Now I love Oladipo. I love him to death. He's one of my favorite shooting guards to watch. But I'm glad they got rid of him because that opens it up for Evan Fournier and Mario Hezonja to really step into those spots and fill in. But at the same time, at a cost of potentially ruining Aaron Gordon's career because they have Serge Ibaka. They also have Jeff Green. They also have Bismack Biyombo and Nikola Vucevic. Plus, I believe they also have another power forward as well. They have so many bigs that Aaron Gordon really doesn't have anywhere to go because you can't start him at the 3. He doesn't have a shot. He doesn't have a jump shot really. He's got a okay mid-range, but he doesn't have any kind of 3-point shot, and that's what that team would really need from him. Plus, on top of that, he's not good enough to play that small. He's not big enough to play the center. He's not small, and he's not skilled enough with his jumper to really play the small forward. He needs to be that power forward spot, and he can't with Serge and a couple others there. Now, number 14, I have the Philadelphia Sixers. Now, I think Ben Simmons is really going to help this team get them a lot more wins than they had last year. But I also don't see them making the playoffs or even making it past the 14th seed, especially with Ben Simmons being out till potentially December, if not later. Maybe even comes back earlier. I don't know the details of that fully, but he's going to be out for a good amount of time, and I don't see him coming back anytime soon from that. So I love Nerlens Noel. I feel like his career has essentially been wasted on the Sixers. Same with never been a big fan of Julio Okafor, but still, I feel like the Sixers are going to be the 14th seed. I feel like they could potentially be good in a few years, just not this year. The Nets, they're a dumpster fire. It's simply put, they are the worst team in the East, potentially the worst team in the league. They are a absolute dumpster fire, and my Celtics have their picks for this year and next year. And I'm fine with that. I am okay with the Nets being a dumpster fire. No offense to Nets fans out there, but when my team has your picks, I am okay with your team being terrible. Just I would feel the same way if, say, I was a Lakers fan and I had the Celtics picks and the Celtics were a dumpster fire. I'd be fine with that. Simple as that. But still, it's sad that the Nets are this bad because they were a solid playoff team 2 years ago, and then last year they just fell off the face of the earth and fell off a cliff. And this year, I don't see them getting any better. So that has been my power rankings or my rankings for the Eastern Conference. Stay tuned for next time when I will be doing the Western Conference, and I will see you guys next time.